Herzlich willkommen zu einem weiteren Tag von VCS. Oh wait, I think I messed up here.
Falsche
Welcome.
Sprache, ja.
We've finally completely invaded the broadcast here, but of course we are still gonna do everything in English. Don't you worry. We're back with VCS English, day number 3 of the week number 6 already. Only 1 week remaining after this one, and then we're going to head into playoffs as all the other regions are. My name is Yowei, and with me today is Crincy. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. I just got a little bit surprised that it would just be another German broadcast for me, but that wouldn't be out of the ordinary for me in general. But either way, ready, of course, for the VCS English today and also meeting 3 teams I already met yesterday. So the scheduling is kind of wild in that regard, which of course plays in my favor as I don't have to do as much research as I would otherwise do. So, of course, very excited for today's games. Box playing against SBTC Esports for the first game of the day, and Flash versus Saigon Buffalo later on. And I mean, it's very important for those teams as the race to players is getting closer and closer.
Yeah, and let's have a quick look at the standings here. GAM, of course, still sitting atop it all. Haven't played a single game this week, and they don't need to. Honestly, they could probably go without playing a single game and still stay number one with such a huge advantage right now. But it's much more interesting to look at the middle of the standings. There, SPTC is playing their third series and a third day today, and they're sitting at 7-4. One more series win, which could come today, and they secure at least a tiebreaker for playoffs. And 8 wins usually is enough to get there, especially considering that some of the other teams still have GUM to play. So, if we look at this, Crincy, do you think? I want to hear a quick playoff prediction. Who are the 4 teams you think are going to playoffs?
GAM, Cerberus, SPTC, and Wales. I don't think much will change there, which is kind of sad for all the Saigon Buffalo fans, of course. And also, like, Flash was looking much better this split than they usually do, but I don't think much will change in that regard. I mean, Wales is a series ahead of Saigon Buffalo right now. They also play them later on, which is, of course, a chance in general for Saigon Buffalo. But considering how they looked yesterday, it starts to look grimmer and grimmer for them, especially also considering that they are also one of those teams that has to play GAM still. And if I see that correctly, I think Wales already played them twice, or did they? They did, yeah. They already took both of their GAM defeats to heart, and Wales, in that regard, virtually actually 2 series ahead of them, and also currently leading in the head-to-head. So it's not looking too hot for Saigon Buffalo in that regard. And I mean, of course, we know Cerberus with the recent form and losing to Box Esports, it's looking kind of rough. But to me, I mean, as a long-time Cerberus fan, I know that's just the usual Cerberus stuff, right? I mean, they just randomly drop one series to a bottom tier team, but are still generally a good team, so nothing really to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, think back to Cerberus winning Winter Split with 13-1 in the regular season, and their only loss coming in the very last series when everyone was getting so excited for the unprecedented 14-0 back then. Of course, now GAM has actually achieved that last year, but back then it was Cerberus on the verge of 14-0, and they just got 2-0 stomped.
Mm.
Okay, it wasn't the bottom tier team, but it was still very, very surprising to see. But yeah, it's Cerberus.
Actually,
One
the third
series,
best
I
team it
think
was.
we're going to cut them some slack for now.
Yeah, it was Burst the Sky back then, right?
Yeah,
They
it was
actually
Burst
ended
the
up
Sky.
getting third with a reverse sweep against Luxury. I mean, those were wild times. Luxury, which is what now is called Team Wales, I think. Just by now, I think both the org name and the team name changed. And it was also some of the players, of course. Either way, Cerberus winning is something that is a little reminder to the past. And I don't see them winning a title in the recent future or in the near future, so to say. But you probably should aim to do that, right? Because we at the VCS sadly only have one slot for the MSI. Other regions tend to have two. And so sadly, for those other VCS teams that are not called GAM, it's not looking too good to get some international experience very soon.
Yeah, we're back to the days where there's one top team, then a lot of very muddy middle of the pack things where a lot goes back and forth. But 2 teams have shot ahead of the pack, which are Cerberus and SPTC. And let's hone in a bit more on SPTC because unfortunately their opponents today are. We're going to talk about them in game, but it's not very interesting to talk about them in terms of what this match means to them because they are now officially eliminated MGN Box Esports. So we're going to talk about the players a bit later, but let's focus on their opponents today who can lock or at least playoff tiebreakers today. SPTC. This team is so famous and infamous for their meme kind of story in the VCS where we have all the graphics, we have all the memes about SPTC, always starting super strong, having fan support, having great players. then they go 4-0 or 4-3, and then suddenly, yeah, well, they just lose every series and miss playoffs. But it's not going to happen this time, right, Quincy?
Right. I mean, hopefully, right? For them, it's kind of like they have this circle thing going on. Right? I mean, right now it's also even verified by the VCS official broadcast, right? As one of their hosts was retweeting our shitpost in that regard. Either way, speaking of this SBC circle, they kind of broke it just yesterday, I would argue, because they, with their new coach Ren, beating his ex-team in Saigon Buffalo, they kind of just rectified that and beating a team that was looking on the uprise at least because Saigon Buffalo was starting off very, very slowly and then kind of ramped up towards the middle of the split. They kind of getting broken apart by SPTC, especially like both in draft and in game, was a delight to see. I mean, not for Saigon Buffalo fans, but that's a different topic. But for SPTC, who is actually a very popular team within Vietnam, that's a very good showing, I gotta say. And with them getting this potential win right now, you just not said it, right? Would be at least a tiebreaker mathematically for the playoffs and also temporarily, maybe even permanently overtake Servus as the second place team right now. So they definitely are very motivated to get another dub on the day. And speaking of it, it is Box Esports. They look better right now, but do they look good enough to challenge SPTC? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, and speaking of that second place, that's actually more important maybe for them now than the playoffs positioning, but because in their minds they're probably already qualified for playoffs. And second seed means quite a bit because you dodge GAM most likely. So this is going to be an interesting back half of the season. I'm interested to see if SPDC might even be able to challenge GAM in the best of 5 later. But what would you say are the biggest factors for the SPDC team that has always had great players and a lot of potential, but never really came together as a team in seasons past, to this one now, where it actually looks like a good team and a team that might even be able to challenge for a title or at least a second place?
I mean, it's usually just a thing of cohesion, right, and having like good preparation, and with them having a good coach that is also kind of like at least established as one of the better coaches of the league. I think that's a very nice addition to the team. And with teams that usually have like big names, we don't know many super teams of like other regions that we have seen in the past, and many of them having failed. It's usually just having your ego in check, kind of, and that not being something there. The players of the team are kind of fighting each other and not really working as a team, but just as 5 good players, and that's just not enough to be like one of the top contenders for every league. Because usually, if you go to the top teams usually have both great players and good cohesion. GAM usually has it in most splits. Actually, in every split, if I recall it correctly. And to challenge a team like this, you definitely need both of those. And I mean, there was this one winter split where Cerberus managed to do so. There also have been splits in the past where Team Flash was able to upset GAM in that regard. And maybe SPTC can go towards this direction, especially having like some time to prepare back to fight against GAM, right? I mean, usually, assuming they get second place, they would not face GAM in the quarters at least, or in the semifinals. I mean, that's for playoff teams. And then would maybe have the chance in a best of 5 in the finals to really work against GAM and play towards that.
Let's see what they have brought for today. Definitely gonna talk about Ren a little bit more, my favorite coach in the VCS, just from his drafting and his work with all the set plays on SGB. And of course, he's now on SPTC. And we do have the pick and bans. There he is. There's Ren, my favorite coach here. But let's see what he has cooked up for today. MGN on the blue side, starting with Isaiah first pick.
Not a surprise, I gotta say. I mean, Zaya, one of the strongest AD carries of the patch, maybe the strongest. I mean, we don't really see Vows anymore right now because he's usually just banned. That would be an argument that he is actually an even better AD carry. But Zaya usually the one that gets left open quite a bit, and Nami being locked in instantly by the side of SPTC, which kind of is something that we don't like to see, right? Nami usually being paired with Lucian. Lucian Nami, we have enough of that, I gotta say. And maybe we praised Ren a tad too much. I mean, Hankai, close your ears is what it says in the chat by Beast, and yeah, I mean, who's really our favorite coach? I mean, we have our own homeboy, basically, who actually appeared as a guest in the podcast. And yeah, it's between those two usually, but maybe with the solution pickup, it would be a great argument for Hake at least to be the favorite VCS coach.
Come on. Drag in. They're gonna pick Lucian, obviously, here, as we all know. It would be super fun to see a team actually go Nami and then not pick Lucian, and the enemy team is super confused. I think the only time you could ever do that is if you leave Draven open and have the fallback option of Nami Draven instead of Lucian Nami. But yeah, we saw the stats for Nami there, and the same is true for Lucian. It's 25% win rate only in the VCS against Wukong, one of the most successful champions in the VCS. His win rate is in the high 60s, I believe. For a champion that has played almost every game, that is insane. And of course, it's Levi's favorite champion, so maybe a little bit skewed because of the Levi influence on the Wukong, but I really like the start from MBE here. Very proactive, a lot of good team fighting, decent scaling, can flank, can initiate fights, can play defensively as well if needed, so this is one of my favorite 1-2-3s I've seen in a long while from this team.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, with nameplates off, that would be like them actually winning the draft so far. Gotta give like one silver lining to when one Devil's Advocate that I really play there is he probably knows he's playing against Box Esports, right? Maybe the approach is just we just stomp them in the early game and just play Lucian Army and beat them with the one item power spike, and this actually could work. I mean, they definitely have on paper the far better players within the lineup, so maybe that's just the angle they are looking for. Either way, Zyra Khan plus Wukong a very good 1-2-3 rotation coming up from Box Esports. Can't really deny that one. As Kennen and Avi are getting taken away on SBTC's side. So Kennen is a champion that kind of wise back to priority in recent times. It's a very strong top laner that you can play right now. Also, sometimes you could flex it to mid lane, but that's usually not seen as much. And it's also one of the picks that Sanma played quite a fair bit in recent times. And
yeah.
Box has been looking better recently, and the Kennen might just be one of those reasons.
Oh, definitely. I think Sunma being more stable in the top lane is one of the huge reasons why they have been able to actually get to the mid-game points and be a challenge to some of the other teams. Winning against Cerberus last week and almost winning against Team Secret this week. I think Sunma and Slows especially are the two players for me that have improved the most over the course of the last 2-3 weeks, where I was very critical of Slows at the start. I was even more critical of Sunmer, but I think both of them have kind of come together and are now VCS level players for the most part, so I like to see this Kennen ban, because on the other side it's Emperor, and Emperor with last pick is a super scary prospect to face.
That's also why they're winning the Aurelia, right? I mean, usually even if they would like get Kennen, they would still be afraid of an Emperor Aurelia as a
Jace angle here.
Should do that, even if they pick something like a Gnar for Sanma. That's something that he also played a fair bit. Also, one of the blind pickable top laners in general. They, however, for now, log in their magic damage composition part of their composition, so that's the Victor being logged in. A very stable
Jace here, right?
mage. No, I can't just be a Gnar. I mean, do you really want Sanma on Jace? I mean, he's one of the more struggling top laners, and blind picking adjacent to Emperor seems dangerous to me. I actually think this Gnar makes sense, especially with the Aurelia ban and the Yone ban being there as a preparation. Yes, I know Mabi hates Gnar. You probably hate Gnar
I don't hate Gnar, but I think Jace is just a much better champion right now. I like the red color comp from MBE. That's always cool to see. The full red lineup.
Yeah, Jace would actually still fit in that one though. It's also like orange, red tones in the splash art. That could work. Either way, it will be Jax for Emperor, and that's the matchup. That on paper he actually should lose in my opinion, but I mean it's Emperor with the Sunma, so also one of the known Jax players. And Jax, after the soft rework, tends to win some matchup that he didn't win in the past. So maybe the Gnar Jax matchup is one of those. I mean, I could see a counter-striking Jax leaping onto a mini Gnar and just killing him within 2 seconds or something. Either way, the first 3 levels probably rough for him, but other than that, I think Emperor can have it here, especially beating into a Mega Gnar. As soon as Divine Sun was completed, it should shift towards the Jax for sure.
Yeah, I've seen this lane go multiple ways. Usually it's as you said, like in just pure laning and CSing, it's always a little bit rough into the ranged form, of course, but there's a lot of all-in potential for the Jax, especially with this added damage on the ultimate activation now. Level 6, especially if you get level 6 against level 5, and just jump on him instantly, E-flash or something, and you can follow up with Q if he jumps away or flashes away, and then you have ult burst and the ultimate added auto attack burst. I've seen some Gnars just vanish in the face of level 6 Jax, so this is always an interesting matchup to follow. I actually really like watching Gnar because of these matchups, because I feel like almost all his matchups right now are kind of fun to watch, unless he plays against a Scion or something, but then, okay, that's more on the Scion than on the Gnar.
Yeah, not really on the Jax side. Either way, I think the Gnar is a very strong tool to really like have a strong mid game over here. I mean, they are playing the Rakan bot lane as well with Wukong and Victor in the mid lane. As long as Victor is at least somewhat scaled, has his first upgrade with the Glow's evolution passive, the 100 stacks to have the Death Ray upgrade, so he can at least go for the priority in the mid lane push. And somewhat at least contested Talia, who has a very strong AoE abilities to really control the wave. It should be decent Drake or Herald teamfight setup for the side of MBE esports. And I mean, you are playing against Lucian Army, who also very hugely spike in the mid game, and you want to match that to some extent. The Gnar can certainly do that. And even if Jax matchup, somehow wins even early on, he's still not a great team fighter, right? You usually want him in the side lane, and if he just wants to go for this team fight angle, he would go for like Frozen Heart or Sonia's Hourglass, and that would also deplete his damage potential, split pushing potential a little bit.
Yeah. I am still looking at these compositions. I always like to see Sejuani with a melee champ in one of the solo lanes. Actually, when I don't see a melee champ on either solo lanes, I flame the Sejuani pick. But in this case, we have the Jax Sejuani setup for a lot of ganking potential and 2v2 skirmishing in top lane. The Taliyah on DR1, I think it's a curious pick, because Taliyah nowadays is pretty weak in the early game, right? So, do you like the Taliyah here? Do you think it's enough to match Nugu's pressure in lane and maybe try to accelerate the side lanes? I think I would have liked to see a little bit more early game pressure from DR1.
I mean, he blind picked it into whatever box really brought to the table. Either way, I think against Victor, it should be fine. Before Victor had the upgrade for the E, I think he isn't really strong in the early game either, so that first few levels are probably something that Taliyah doesn't really worry about. You can impact the side lanes with it, like one global ultimate to really enable your split pushing champion. Either way, the bot lane is already fighting, and Pallet already being ignited there, but also burning his heals, so summoner spells traded. Seems to be fine for both sides, but if it's an even trade, SE should be fine with it, especially considering that they have the sustain from the Nami ebb and flow going. And speaking of the Taliyah pick, I think it's fine. I also really like Taliyah into something like a Wukong. AP damage in general, very good against the stone skin. The armor doesn't really care about your magic damage, so, or other way around basically. And the Wukong can't really dash over the unraveled earth, so it definitely can put her to whatever Tombio brings to the table.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually a little bit worried for Palette there in the bot lane, because they lost the trait and heal against the Ignite, which is... Yeah, using the heal in the Ignite trait obviously is not favorable for you, because Ignite is lower cooldown and also heal diminishing value, right? So this Nami is now quite squishy. They do have the Ignite and Slater, but I feel like there's a little bit of an engaged potential for MBE's bot lane, potentially. Right now there's a pressure for SPTC, of course, in the bot lane, and we see this matchup, yeah, it's really interesting, really fun to watch, because both of them will trade their HP for lane control quite a bit, and are now in a position where the wave can maybe punish him if he overpushes, but DNK is there to back him up.
That, and considering the HP bars, it's actually worrying for the Na, I gotta say. I mean, he's already the one who has to fear the all-in, and if he trades evenly against the Jax, despite having this range advantage, having the mobility advantage early on, it's something that's a little bit of a worrying trend for me for Sunna, I gotta say. But Emperor, I mean, as long as his jungler's covering him, he should be fine, walk upwards. The wave state early on looking a bit worrying for him, but like this, it's probably fine for him. He's also already, even in CS against him, the first levels are usually the rough ones, and it seems to be fine. DNK? Did he get the scuttle, or did Tomio just sneak it away? It's actually DNK getting it, so no big worry on that regard. And SE already from laning on a few hundred gold upwards. And I'm not that worried about Palette, just gotta say. I mean, he healed through the Ignite, which is definitely inefficient, but he also has to worry about the all-in not being there already, so at least like 50% healing is better than no healing at all, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
He just now is back to the point where he still has enough mana and already healed back to full, basically, without having to base, while Zayan Vakan can't just do that.
A very slow early game, which I feel like both teams are mostly fine with. We have good scaling elements on both sides. We have a lot of team fighting capabilities and engage potential on MBE side, especially in the early game, I'd say. Their first dragon is what I'm looking at, with Wukong level 6 and Rakan engaged and so on, and even Victor having, hopefully, a little bit more pressure on the mid lane, considering Taliyah's woeful early game. I feel like MBE should be the ones looking for the first dragon. Let's see if they can execute on that. DNK wants to punish Nugu. Oh, Nugu needs to be very, very careful here.
Oh no.
Oh, that is a really nice setup. Double CC and DR1 hits the mark on the W. That goes against the expectation of the mid lane matchup, and Nugu had his flash ready, but just not able to react in time there.
I mean, you would need to flash the flash Arctic Assault coming from the side of DNK, which was very well played by him, I just gotta say. DNK definitely knowing his mechanics to flash during the animation of the Arctic Assault, so Nugu has to kind of predict that one as he sees the Arctic Assault coming, and that's very hard to do. I don't really want to credit DR1 too much, because he was just hitting an already CC target. Either way, this just now propelling the Taliyah ahead a little bit. Also very nice of SPTC that the kill actually goes on towards the Taliyah, who definitely does more with those resources than the Sejuani would do. And this is SPTC coming off to a nice start. And the first wake, something that's not really looking to be done as early as it spawns. It just now spawned, but those early ganks, something that DNK really is playing for. And I mean, why not just focus the mid lane, right? The top lane is winning on its own, and the bot lane is also looking very, very fine right now.
I do feel like there's a little bit of an opportunity now for Tom Rio to accelerate towards level 6 ahead of DNK, because DNK... Oh, I saw the ultimate being... What is going on with DR1's ultimate? Something is weird on the overlay, but they are here for another gank. This time Nugu flashes away. Okay, he would have died to either of these ganks, so he survives one of them, he dies to the other. That's kind of just how Victor mid lane goes. He's a very immobile champion. He dies very often to setups like this, but we see SPTC finally putting some pressure down on the top side of the map. DNK is here to dive. That's a huge wave denied. Sunmo is really, really sad about this one.
Yeah, I mean, really sad. I mean, he's almost like getting doubled in CS as a range champion
no.
against the mid lane champion.
It's the Camcan experience.
Disgusting.
No.
Yeah. And speaking of this mid lane play, I mean, getting the flash from the Victor, I think what might have happened is DR1 maybe just ulting as a replacement TP, so just from base to get closer to the skirmish. And
No, look at his ultimate right now. Something is weird in the overlay.
Oh, that's definitely very weird. Was he even level 6 when they started?
No, I think he can't use the ultimate, so the overlay shows when he can't use his ultimate because it's blocked by other abilities, like a global cooldown. It's very irritating to look at, but yeah, just ignore it for now.
It shows when he's in combat, when he's using
exactly.
a spell or something, or auto-attacking. And either way, that's probably what it is, but this doesn't look intended, and it shouldn't be what the intention really is. Either way, speaking of bugs enough, it's already a 2k goal for the side of SPTC Esports, and they are looking very, very fine right now. Bot lane, the only lane that isn't really winning by a significant margin as of now. And definitely still an all-in window respected by the side of SPTC, as Rakan when he hits 6, Xayah when she hits 6, can definitely make some work in this bot lane, and Lucian and Nami have to take care of that one, not to fall prey for this. And so far, MBE not really finding an answer. They really need to do something about this top lane situation. I mean, it was already looking rough in the 1v1, and then they had this 3 versus 1 threat of a dive, not even having to execute the dive properly. And just that was enough for Summer to having to respect it. And now he's already down 4 full minion waves.
Yeah, 2 platings going over to Enper in that push as well. They don't even need the kill, right? 2 platings is more than a kill. So, yeah, this Jax is eating good tonight. Look at his items too. He went full utility and early movement speed, so he can dodge ganks when they try to punish him. This is just so comfortable if you look at all the inventories of, especially the solo laners for SPTC, because everyone went early cooldown reduction / ability haste. So they can just move across the map so quickly and just spam their abilities. I especially like DR1 just going tier, Dorans, and early cooldown boots.
Ionian boots.
Yeah, Ionian boots, thank you. He can just spam his Q to push waves, completely disregard Nugu in the mid lane, and just run from top to mid to bottom all the time.
That he can, and they also just now used their time with DNK just going for this wake, not contested whatsoever by Box Esports. I'm not sure why they didn't really go for anything, because bot lane was the one lane that was doing kind of fine, and they weren't really pushed in either, so might just be a little bit of an oversight for them. And the Ionian boots also for the Jax, but that's actually such a cocky item build. To be able to afford this into something like a ranged bully as now, but here we see who the real bully is. Emperor just with the solo bolo, just flash, counter strike, bonk, and he's down.
Hey, isn't that exactly what I talked about in Champion Select? He flash E's on him, he activates ult, uses the empowered auto attack and one-shots him. That's the power of new Jax, because he has this extra added burst damage on his ult activation. There it is. Flash E's on top of him. There's the ultimate damage, there's the W, and bonk. That's a kill.
Yeah, it was so much that actually the overlay outside to buffer right now kind of needs a little bit of a breather. Either way, Grand enters from Rakan, Cyclone as well. DR1 being ignited, but he should be able to live there, or does he? Does not, but the dive is very, very deep. There should be at least one return kill. Palette taking this one, and the play continues. Aqua Prison being there, DNK still halfly in this play. Glacial Prison coming out, they just fight through the gravity wall. They just don't care at all. Permafrost maybe about to stun this one target. The damage kind of is enough with Nami and Sejuani of all people, and they actually managed to take down this Victor. So it ended a 2-for-1. Palette's very bloodthirsty. I mean, it's double buff Nami. He's very, very strong. Why not fight the Rakan, right?
He is going forwards. Yeah, very nice to see SPTC actually realizing that they can win this fight. It looks completely useless, right? You said Sejuani, Nami, but this early in the game, Sejuani is a force to be reckoned with. As Slater is just gonna get a little bit of gold here. Yeah, 38. That's nice. That's 2 minions, maybe even 3 minions. 3 small minions. So, later just getting a little bit of extra gold, using his ultimate to push away slows in lane. But look at this gold lead, it's getting further and further ahead for SPTC. They are accelerating this game beautifully.
Yeah, just because of the culling, right? Either way, here, this dive was, I think, initially kind of fine to play on the side of Box Esports, going for the flash onto DR1 and punching him very, very deeply. And actually trading 1-for-1 something that is very, very fine for them, especially if Victor is within the play, as he gets 25 stacks for his Globe's Evolution passive, but the play in return kind of looking very good for the side of SPTC Esports. Nami and Sejuani being so confident to really chase this play is something that kind of surprised me, and probably also surprised Box Esports, I gotta say. The damage being enough kind of just showed that Sejuani, especially early on, definitely hits like a truck with the Permafrost, being 100% HP damage, and that ultimately was enough to net them a second kill. And that, of course, just means SPTC Esports firmly ahead in this game, 4,000 gold, and it's not all just the first strike money from the culling.
He doesn't have ultimate. DNK no ultimate. Nugu didn't know. I think Nugu doesn't have to flash if he knows that there's no ultimate on DNK. Now he's very vulnerable to the next attack because DR1 didn't use anything there, DNK didn't really use anything there. But I want to go back to the last play and talk about one... Oh, never mind. Sunma is in big trouble. Sunma, run!
He knows, so he just loses the CS again. And this whole turret, and its first turret, and the gold lead will extend to like 5,000 after that. But you wanted to make a point about the other play.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about one player we haven't talked about much in this SPTC team, who's a champion of the VCS. Palat. And we all know Palat, he was kind of the Taki before Taki existed. He was the mechanical prodigy support. Sunma, no.
Oh,
I'm so sad.
Actually getting caught mid-hop, he's still many now, and he just dies again. The kill actually going to enter. It's just such a disaster, right? I mean, he already like half respected the play coming in, dropping the turret, dropping the wave again, and then he just still ends up dying to it. But it's just very sad to see, and yeah, poor Summer just getting bullied, both in the 1v1 and also in the extended play by the team. Tomio can barely even defend this turret here.
Yeah, he needs to be very careful. He was almost in kill range there. But yeah, this Jax is a menace. He's going to go back to base and finish his Sundra, maybe even more than that. And look at the items on Sunma. He's very, very far away from his Trinity, so this top lane match is not looking too great for MBE, but to be honest, the rest of the map isn't either. But to go back to Palat, he has always been an amazing player when it comes to champion pool. If he's on, he might be the best support in the league. And we haven't talked about him as one of the contenders for best support of the league because honestly, the last 2 years have been very disappointing. He had a lot of games where it honestly looked like he was not paying a lot of attention and not really caring about the game too much. But I feel like he's finally come back into his prime form. He is one of the best enchanter players in the league for sure, and we see it in this game again on the Nami. So proactive, but also staying safe. He doesn't die, he doesn't int, and his mechanics have always been crisp. Remember, he was scouted over an NA. Luckily, he didn't go, so I'm always happy to see more competition in the support pool, because we used to have very weak supports in the VCS, but with Palat, with Ronopi, and Taki, of course, and B being here, support is looking pretty strong this time.
Yeah, maybe TSM should have gotten Palat, and that would have been maybe one reason that they aren't shutting down right now. Either way, Nugu again getting attacked this time, however. He doesn't really sidestep the Glacial Prism, but Palat's still getting the kill. The Bloodthirsty support, second kill for him. And I think to some extent it's just team diff, right? If you play Chanters especially, you just look like a clown if you are happening to play on a losing team. But I mean, to some extent you can't really excuse everything that Palat did in this last few years just to team diff. And some things you can, some things you can't. Either way, that was a good play. Yet again, second Drake now being taken by Box Esports potentially, but Tomio is in the vicinity. He could just go for the flip. He actually gets the steal, and that's just very dirty. You shouldn't give him the chance to steal this one. You're so far ahead. There should have been a positioning difference to just zone them away from the pit.
Especially
or at
with
least
Talia.
try something. There was like no resistance from such a far ahead team. When you can do better than this.
Yeah, especially with a champ like Talia, who's a natural counter. Ooh, speaking of Talia, she's in a bit of trouble, but DNK is here to save the day for DR1. But yeah, Talia, with her ability to completely stop Zodiacs and Tom Rio's engage, they should have just played this a little bit more methodically, set up around the Dragon Pit correctly. They kind of rushed their play and just thought, okay, we're gonna get away with just a little bit of an overexcited Dragon take, but it cost them dearly. Probably the best single dragon, in my opinion at least, useful on almost every champion in the game. Ability, haste, and attack speed, especially early on, really nice to have. Yeah, it's a really good stack. So MBE, yeah, they get away with a little bit of murder here.
They do it. Was it already a bounty? I just don't know. I think it's probably wasn't, right? I mean, it's not even that far in the game.
I don't think I saw a bounty there. It looked
Yeah,
weird because it was a steal, but yeah, I don't think they got a bounty for it.
I remember a blue scoreboard, probably not a yellow one, so it should not have been a bounty. Either way, just an oversight by the side of SBTC Esports. It shouldn't have happened, and yeah, Hextech Drake, definitely one of the better individual Drakes. I prefer Mountain Drake a tad more, even though I am an Hextech solo enjoyer in general.
Whoa!
Either way, yeah, you asked why they picked Talia. It's so good against Wukong. AP damage, he can't really dash over the Unraveled Earth, and even if he just stands close to it, one EW combination by the side of Dire 1, and it's like half health from the Wukong. A champion that's supposed to be at least like a little bit of tanky.
Yeah, and I mean, I do like Talia once she hits level 9. She's a great champion. I just always wonder if you can't punch her a little bit harder in the early game because she's so weak early on. Oh, Zodiac straight up went into that one. Stuck in the wall, he's dead. Slater is now rearing and ready to go. It's 1-for-1 so far. Actually, decently traded for MBE. Rio used his ultimate though, so he's kind of useless, needs to be careful. SPTC still win the positioning war and will get away with another objective here. They're the bounties, they're actually here now, but unfortunately for MBE, not in a position to claim them right now.
And I think if it would have just been the 1-for-1, Box would have been very fine with that one, especially 21 for.
Whoa, Emper! Emper's going crazy!
Giga shot. But it's actually not worth.
That is absolutely not worth. That's the most Emper play I've ever seen.
Either way, he was dead anyway because he was very much out of position and he was at least like trading 1 kill back. I mean, if I played top lane in solo queue, I would do the same and then just pretend it was worth. It's absolutely not, don't get me wrong.
Especially against Victor. Really good.
Getting 1 kill better than getting 0 kills before getting shut down, so might as well do that one. Also, he denied assists from all the other people around. That's at least like making the best out of a bad play it was it initially. So here we see again how this mid lane skirmish played out. It was a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Talia wall coming in, they very quickly kill Zodiac, even the ignite ticking, Slater actually getting the last hit, and Tier 1 dying to Slows, but Slows also has to burn its flash, the Cyclone being down for Wukong, and they lose the positioning on the Herald, so at the end of the day not really worth for them. But this bot lane play on towards Emperor, actually kind of good, right? Shutdown to Victor, more stacks for Victor, and he should be very close to getting 2 close evolution upgrades.
Yeah, he should actually be relatively close to 3. He was on 175 CS and 2 kill participation, so he is rather...
Yeah, he's probably done now.
And that could be maybe the hope. Oh, Zodiac.
I don't know, man.
Yikes.
It ends here.
That was not the play.
And this live again, yeah. He also like realized halfway, right? I actually have to flash out of this, and it was still like too late.
Yeah, and then we're Talia stones.
The flash and just accept the end. Either way, that quite wasn't it for Zodiac. I mean,
actually, I feel bad for him for the last play, because in mid lane when he died to the other engage, there was no way he could ever seen the ultimate hitting him, because it was aimed at his ADC and he was just standing around near his ADC and he got hit by the Sejuani ult for no reason whatsoever. So it didn't really feel bad, like it didn't feel like he entered the last play. But this one, yeah, he did.
Yeah, like for the play before, you could argue he was a sacrificial lamb, right? But this one was just him inting. Either way, Tier 1, speaking of inting, yeah. He's good against Wukong in general, right? But if a Wukong just collapses onto you and gets onto your face, that's not good. Either way, the kill actually donated to Nugu. Very, very nice for Box Esports. I mean, they are 8,000 gold down, but they are at least fighting back. At the third takedown for the Victor, he should be very close to finish through the close evolution, or actually be already done, because every cannon would add a +4 to whatever CS score he really has. I mean, he probably got like 5, 6, 7 cannons, something like this. He should have been at 300 right now. And Victor may be the glaring hope for them that still remains, as long with the bot lane. Slow's also having an okay game, I gotta say. And now Summer finally, 20th minute we are in, he finishes the Trinity Force. While the Jax is only done with like Divine Sandua plus Shoji.
So interesting macro play here from SPTC. Instead of instantly punishing with Dragon, they say, okay, our position on Dragon is so good, we don't have to take it immediately. Instead, we're gonna trade tower for tower, so we're gonna accelerate the gold lead even more, because the Dragon is just an afterthought. We can always go back there. There's no vision. Oh, but can they? Because in the mid lane, that's bot lane engaging on Slater. Slater flashed away, but couldn't get away from them. That's another big shutdown picked up this time by the other carry, Slows. So SPTC losing a little bit of their calm maybe in this game and making some oversteps.
They just got Zaya Khan right there, right? Was that so?
Unreal? Okay, he's over there. That's a big engage. Tom Rio doesn't have ultimate though. Tom Rio can't fight back, and Enper's a big Jax. He's going down to half HP. Can
It's
Enper do
squishy
it?
though.
Emperor half. Okay, Slows is trying to set up his feathers, but the damage is just not enough to really contest DNK. They needed Tom Rio's ultimate to fight there. Now they lost all positioning. They kind of fought back by killing Slater, and this dragon should still belong to SPTC. Slows, where did you go?
Slows.
Oh wait, he's trying
Slows
to counter
went the
attack
wrong
on
way.
Tier 1. He does have a decent amount of damage, but Palette can execute him with one
He's
W.
ignited, he's down.
Yep.
One W. Palette is just so bad that you're getting this kill. Shutdown for Palette, actually very huge. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's actually not. I mean, I usually justify kills like this when it's like before Imperial Mandate power spike for the Lucian Nami bot lane, right? The Imperial Mandate for the Nami actually a very important item for the Lucian, but he's already done with that one. The second item for support is not really mattering as much, and probably not even getting finished even in the Storm. And they're just now claiming that Baron might give away the Drake, though, however, so a small consolation prize possible for Box Esports. But can they even finish the Drake is what I wonder. Because, I mean, the cavalry would arrive. They didn't start it. I think
Tom Rio had an opportunity there, maybe if you burst the dragon down, but now it's still on 10k HP. There's no way SPTC isn't collapsing. Slater's already here. Look at Slater's items. He's actually a huge threat. They can't continue this dragon, and they just lose everything. At least another shutdown to Nugu. The hope is still there, just a slither of hope maybe on the horizon. That's a 2.5 item Victor, fully upgraded. Maybe, just maybe.
He just solo killed and Fat Jax in the side lane as well, and that also just goes to show that Emperor's just cocky, right? I mean, the Ionian boots already say a lot, but either way, he probably fought him as thinking that he has like mercs or something, because then he usually would at least like sustain against the Victor and not get one comboed by him, and just if win in a long fight, also like kind of tower diving him, and he just actually just dies to secure auto. Yeah, not really the play he has to go for. You'll see in this item build he's going for either Sterak's or Hullbreaker right now. Maybe actually the Hullbreaker an angle for him, as he's such a fat split pusher and he could create so much pressure with it if he actually manages to finish that one. Also level 15, so he would have very decent stats from this item itself. They are almost 10,000 gold ahead. I mean, it's a game that's basically in the books. Might as well test some stuff here. Usually, however, in competitive play, I would favor the Sterak's, as you tend to teamfight inevitably around the Baron, around the Elder Dragon, around the Soul Dragon, or whatever else. Anyway, and there the Hullbreaker would be a very bad purchase.
Okay, I've spotted some itemization choice, which has gotten a lot of criticism on Twitter. Molecule, of course, shouting out this item as being useless on basically every champion in the game, which is the former support, what's it called again? Hemtech Purifier, I think it's called. Hextech Purifier?
Putrefier.
Right. Because they nerfed it in a way that makes it really bad on most supports, but it looks like Palette wants to go this item. So, what do you think about that, Princey?
I mean, it's just an Oblivion op for now, so yeah, we hope my judgment. Oh, he actually might finish it with the Forbidden Idol. Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion on this one. I mean, anti-heal in general on the small item got buffed a lot, so I think the Oblivion orb is definitely very fine. And I mean, with support items, could you get something better? It's just the question. Either way, there's a collapse going on.
That should be a kill.
One should be a kill. He gets sustained up.
Oh no, he's alive!
I can kite it out. Tomio is the false one to fall. The culling coming through, and no possible way to chase into this corridor against the culling. So it will be the one sneaking away with his life, using just the flash. Jax wasn't even in the team fight.
No, Jax was just chilling on side lane. He did build the Hullbreaker. Look at his HP bar. That is a menacing Jace. Sunma, run! Don't be on the same screen as Emperor. It's not becoming for you. But Emperor is now just wants his team to go away. He's furiously pinging the map, pinging his own item. You were too close to me. You're actually disabling my passive stats. So now they all go away, so Sunma can have a little bit of fun in the top lane. This is not Sunma, Emperor, of course. But Emperor back to his roots, to a very solo queue playstyle, but it's working this game. He got the assistance in the early game. They put him really far ahead on the counter pick Jackson now. He's having maybe a bit too much fun, but then again, it's against MBE, and he's still 4-2 and level 16, so he's getting away with some of his ints. Look at him here. Can he 1v3?
Yes, a Breaker. I see this little icon. Yeah,
doesn't want to. He uses as low as could be able to actually damage him, but he's so fast. He can jump. They're still on the hunt. Zodiac needs to be careful. Jax might be able to punish him. And come on, I expected so much more. I expected a 1v4 here. What's going on here? There was an opportunity for 4 solo kills for Emperor's count.
I think though he got humbled by Nugu a little bit earlier.
Maybe.
Nugu was solo killing him, and he actually doesn't have to go for the play, so might as well not go it. But I like the Hullbreaker purchase here because I mean, you just don't know how tanky he really was already, while still dishing out crazy damage with Divine Sandra plus spear of Shojin combination. He just now also is going towards Wit's End, which means that yeah. Eventually, also Nugu can't really fight him anymore, so will be very, very fine. And you addressed it, right? They are playing against just MBE, but also it's an absolute must-win for them. So I think they shouldn't troll too much and just, yeah, net this one dub before they can really go for these experiments. Either way, this game, they probably can do whatever they want, right? 11,000 gold is the lead. They aren't really looking for early Drake stackings. No team really is in this game, and they can just play the split push game, have Empire on the side, then have the 4-man squad somewhere else, and just yeah, maybe help Emperor if he actually gets 1v5, but probably just fight on the other side of the map then and absolutely destroy those structures over there, while Emperor probably can buy a lot of time.
Crazy. This Jax is getting me very excited because that is one of the most aggressive Jax builds I've ever seen. Where is he going now? Is that a Wit's End coming?
Yes.
He wants the 1v1. Oh.
Yeah, he wants the revenge against Nugu.
Yeah, he does. But Tom Rio is looking for the revenge for the whole game, and Slater's caught out. That's a kill. Unfortunately, shut down going over to Rakan, but more importantly, they're buying much time to defend against Enper. Enper is going in this time. Maybe overstepped a bit as he gets stunned. Ultimate activated, flashed away. Enper does look a bit humbled. He's not going for the 1v5 play. Probably the correct choice, but now losing ultimate and flash will put him on a little bit of a timer. Is there an opportunity for MBE to fight for this dragon?
No.
They're too
Later
far
will be
away.
spawned in a few seconds.
But look at the
Too
pings.
far away,
They're
yeah.
pinging the top side. They are trying to sneak towards dragon. There's no ward really to spot them out. There's no ping on them either. If they just burst Baron, this could be an opportunity for a huge comeback play. Look at that. SBTC has no idea. They might... Oh, now there was a ping on the map. They are aware, but this might be too late now.
Yeah, they are going to. They have a Weaver's Volunteer one. Actually, they don't. But they have a TP. They will now spawn it. I think this Baron will be gone, but there might just be a collapse. They might just buy time and deny recall.
Beautifully done.
The Emperor finishes the game.
They need to disengage here, DNK. Ooh, they need to get away somehow. Save the Baron buff. They got a lot of gold, but Tom Rio is going to be the sacrificial lamb here. Lamb. Oh, can Nugu walk away? Nugu does get away with the Baron. Okay, can they somehow stabilize the map situation without their jungler? They do have the Baron buff, so the minions are going to be stronger. They did lose bot lane inhibitor, now top lane. Under siege, SPTC. They want to punish immediately. 30 seconds on Tom Rio, and Tier 1 is pushing on mid lane. This could be the game, but what just Emper? What did you just do?
So terrible from a mile away. Yeah, don't TP to your team when you are on Hullbreaker split pusher. That's like the first lesson you really have to learn there. And like in a bigger picture, it's a very huge win for Box, right? They got the Baron, they got another kill right now, they got a TP as well, and they only gave away 1 Drake and 1 kill onto Tomio. That's very, very fine, especially if you are so far down. Though we at least have some agency within this game, but you're still 9,000 gold down. I mean, that's a bit better than it was before. And you just got some more minutes to stabilize into this game to get like at least 1 more item power spike, maybe for slows to finish like 3 items, maybe for someone to finally be relevant in these team fights, maybe a good Mega Nut combo could that they at least like hit a good CC follow up and he just survives at least for like 5 seconds within the fight.
Slows.
Such a huge win for Box.
Slows under pressure, but he should be safe. Tier 1 wants to collapse too. That TP is a little premature, but I think they should be fine to just walk away. Okay, Sumner, that was a mini TP. Please don't do that with my nerves again. That is an insta-kill if the enemy team is closer, but they get away once again. So NBE holds on. 50k gold for them. Yes, they're still 8k gold down. But honestly, 8k at this point in the game, yes, it's still a big lead, but it's not as big as it used to be like 5 minutes ago, especially percentage-wise. And we saw some of the engaged potential for MBE's comp. They are able to one-shot people like Slater and even Enper in the last engage. Most of the gold lead is on Enper, if you look at the items, and a decent chunk I'd probably guess on Slater too. So if you can eliminate either of those two from the equation, suddenly you might look at a teamfight victory. So this game is suddenly getting much more tense, and SPTC needs to step up. They do still have the dragon coming up. That's soul. That's such a strong soul too for them. So MBE want to use these few minutes to just stabilize map positioning and maybe be able to push closer towards that all-important dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even Emperor was getting blown out quite quickly right there. I mean, with the Hullbreaker, I mean, he basically is just a squishy champion like everyone else. I mean, he has a Divine Thunder HP, and that's basically it. Otherwise, not really much to go for. And we see MBE. I mean, I don't want to call it a comeback or anything like this, but they are definitely getting some steam within these last few minutes. I mean, getting the gold leader tad closer, just scaling next to SPTC, getting the Baron to at least stabilize a little bit, as this Glacial Prison gets Featherstormed quite quickly. Good reaction from Sloth over there. Not as his name suggests. And the super minions are still steaming to this bot lane on the side of MBE. They still need to defend those ones. But actually, I mean, they dropped the inhibitor, and then the next few minutes, SPTC was kind of trolling for a little bit. So that's bonus experience, bonus gold, funneled into Box Esports. So it is getting closer than it should be, at least. I think it's still like a 90% win for the side of SPTC Esports. Yeah. It's absolutely their game to lose. But
DR1's coming in.
Close.
They're looking for the engagement. They finally shut down someone. It's only the Rakan, but it might be enough to penetrate into the base further. Enper's here, and they finally get the tower down. Enper wants to jump on top of Tom Rio. Very good ultimate to walk away there. That's another inhibitor secured for SPDC. 1 minute on the Dragon timer. Can they get the third? If they get third inhibitor on the top side, the Dragon is almost 100% theirs. Nugu needs to find some really good damage in this team fight. He does have the ultimate still available. He's level 18, but the tower goes down. You have to make a stand here. You can't let the inhibitor die. But the inhibitor goes down for SPTC.
The mini Nexus.
MBE, they lost their third inhibitor. Now Dragon is almost impossible, but maybe they can find and engage. Oh, Enper, maybe he overstepped. He flashes under tower. DNK on the other side. Sunmers, Meganar trying to find and engage. Slater flashes away. It's so scattered across the whole map. They finally get one kill back. It's a double kill actually for Slows. And Palat under pressure. Nugu's chasing forwards. No mana, but he dealt a lot of damage. How can they get on top of Palat and DR1? So low.
Slater almost wanted to return the fight over there and just re-engage over this one. That's a Lucian.
Zodiac. Zodiac wants to stop the back so they can get on top of Dragon. Look at Slows. Slows is walking to the Dragon. He just wants to secure this. Oh, there's the TP too. This could be huge if they get 3 kills here. Oh, I think DR1 made it out, but that's 2 bot laners still there. Palat should be a kill. That's 1. Slater walking away has... Yeah, E doesn't cost mana at this point in the game, so he should be able to E away. Wants to trade.
His best.
I'm not sure if that's worth it, to be honest. That's only the support. And the Dragon is secured for Zarya. Somehow they made it out of this horrible situation. The map is still in shambles. They lost every single one of their inhibitors. But the soul is delayed by 5 minutes. And the inhibitors are gonna come up before that. The bot inhibitor actually respawned now. MBE, can they do it, Quincy?
No, I think they can't. TP's also coming in. Nugu, yeah, that's a bit deadpan, but either way. Oh, Nugu, the most important member of the team, just now getting caught. He will die, and it's Baron spawning in less than 40 seconds. The death timer being more than 40 seconds. This will probably just mean the Baron to the side of SPT3 and them just walking it in, as Marby liked to say yesterday, just with all these super minions steaming to the base. The Drake was gone anyway. Nice bounty taken by the side of Slows, and I think Slater also thought his life ending either way, so might as well just go in aggressively and kill Zodiac before he just gives inevitably the shutdown to the side of Victor. Overall, nice gold comeback to the side of MBE. They denied the soul, they got a objective bounty, they got a shutdown, but they will still lose this Baron, so it will probably still be a formality to the side of SPTC Esports, but they definitely do not look too clean within those realms of possibilities. And Box Esports, for a last place team that didn't win a single game, a single series last week, they definitely still look better even within this very likely loss that they are facing right now.
Yeah, it might actually be a case of SPDC slowly understanding that Box is not the pushover team they were for like 80% of the season, right? They are much better in team fights now. They do show some signs of life, and even though the early game once again went horribly wrong for them, their persistence in this game, their ability to fight back, their ability to catch some isolated members is actually much improved, and now they will make another stand. 2 inhibitors down, so not double super minions right now, and the super minions are quite far away. I think MBE probably wants to fight for this bot lane inhibitor, because losing a third one again is so devastating. So yeah, you can see them posturing very aggressively. They need to find the engage.
Last time they didn't fight because Rakan was dead, but this time he is very much alive, so it will at least be a 5v5, but they just give it up way too easily. This is a mini Nexus. It just makes it 6 super minions instead of 2. It's such a disgusting thing to drop the third inhibitor. I mean, there really should have been more of a fight. Even if you are behind, I think you shouldn't really give this one over. Gotta say though, SPTC with their first super minion push just now, the wave's not really in sync, so it might just be possible to defend for now to the side of Box Esports. Their wave play is also decent, but they have a Victor, they have a Zarya.
Baron is a problem for the Victor, of course. Without the Baron, Victor would be able to wave clear forever. Oh, that's the... Oh, already slated down into GA. Can they kill him instantly? Yes, I think so. Yes, that's one kill. 1-for-1 now. Enper way too deep yet again. Enper, what are you doing in these team fights? That's the Feather Call, not quite able to lock down Enper. And Slows is so far forward, but he has the ultimate available. There's another engage, really nicely done. MBE finds all the marks here. The turret's still standing. SBTC doesn't want to let go. They still have the Baron buff. They still have double super minions streaming. And look at top lane, look at bot lane. They're coming, but I don't think they can really fight against Slows. He's too strong. Nugu is also still alive, and MBE held them off once again.
Not just that they can't really fight, they also can't really siege, right? With Slater being down, there's like no ranged auto attacks that can really hit those turrets, except for like Tier 1, but for ranged ship, it is not really high range, and the damage to the turrets not really being too high, and it's just Slater getting caught together with his team, DNK, finding his own engage, but this not really finding any consequence, and the GA just buying time to prevent the inevitable. It will just be Slater falling down. He's very easy to target when he is in the stasis, and Enper, yeah, he's super strong, but he is a very offensive Jax and is really a team fighter, and we see it in situations like this. The Hullbreaker also dropping value when you are pushing towards Nexus turrets and further, with your team forcibly being grouped up, and he should probably sell that one, even though he is level 18 right now. Might just go for the Sterox instead, and also tend to probably go for items like the Frozen Heart, the Zonus Hourglass I addressed it earlier in the game when he was already starting to get ahead.
I would like
Right now-
Stoneplate. I think in this case, where you perma 5v5, I think Stoneplate could be really strong. For the side of Jax, he does get another defensive, half-defensive item with the GA. GA, I'm not sure if GA is so great. We saw GA for Slater just instantly getting collapsed on because they have so many setup tools to punish something that's stationary like the GA's revive. He's gonna be a little bit harder to kill, but now... Actually, there's an ADC advantage, I'd say, for MBE, and mid lane in terms of consistent damage, Victor usually easier to execute than Taliyah, especially if you are fighting on the defensive, because Taliyah is a much better defensive champion than offensive, so it's really hard for SBTC to lock down this game. They do have another opportunity for Soul, but this late into the game, yes, Soul is gonna make you stronger, but I'm not sure if it's the Soul win condition right now, because... extra damage is not really helping you survive, and they've tried to get on top of Enper. Killing his... oh, getting away his GA would be huge. He flashes away, but I don't think he can really walk away from all the CC and follow-up chase. There he is. He has to fight now. E activated. Slows is coming in.
so much time.
Yeah, they're sacrificing the dragon for this, but they need to be careful, actually. Taliyah could try to collapse and just go on top of the Nexus. Enper will die here, will lose his GA. Now it just took half a minute. They need to go back to base though, and this is dangerous. SBTC streaming. I think they chose the wrong lane though. They're going for the end. They should have gone for the inhibitors. The recalls are going to come in.
They just trade Enper for the Soul, and it's, I think, a fine trade in general, because they had the advantage anyway, and I think the Soul, in general, still is a win condition, but you addressed it, right? I mean, a part of Taliyah's power budget is the global pressure, and Victor just doesn't have that one, so... as resulting of that one, he's actually a stronger defender. But Tobio, why? This could have been such a close game right now, and now SBTC still firmly ahead. I mean, 7,000 gold this late in the game probably means absolutely nothing. We see Zaya being maxed out, Victor being maxed out or close to, though. And now Tomio being down is one of the key engage tools on the side of MBE. So this one being fell down means a lot to their defense capabilities. Now it's all on Zodiac and also Sunma on the Megana to find these initiations if they happen to defend their base. But SBC Esports, they have the Infernal, so they're down to 2 inhibitors, not 3 right now. So there's still like a small silver lining for Box Esports. And this game, very much closer than it actually should have been. Baron spawning in less than a minute. This will probably be something for SBTC to take. And just, what you can do is just put Enper in the top lane and just have him like as another super minion. And use the Foreman squad to punish the Baron. Or what they're doing right now, which also seems smart to me, is using him in the bot lane and threaten to straight up end the game together with the supers. Also being far away from the Baron and have this chance that you actually use a TP to really force a team fight with him. And in the open field, it's still easier for SBC Esports to fight these team fights. So, and in the 1v1, Sunma can't really hold the Jax at all. He's on 3 items, the Jax is on all items. It has a Hullbreaker, it's one of those. So it will be multiple members defending Endpoint in the bot lane, and then SBC Esports can easily just go towards this Baron, secure this one, and then start another siege attempt.
Yeah, but the later the game goes, the more valuable a single kill is. And yes, losing Baron is devastating, but honestly, they managed to deal with it too. Look at SPDC. This time, they want a different approach. They have both soul lanes towards the bot side of the map. This is gonna give them huge priority. And if DNK steals this, the game is over. DNK has the opportunity to completely finish the game. No, he's not able to get the Baron, but how can they deny the recalls? 2v1 in the base. Everyone needs to recall. Nugu can't do it. He has to flash over. Oh, that's a kill onto Rio already. They're chasing to deny the recalls. The turrets are going down in the base, but now they actually made the stand. They're back in base. We see in picture something is happening. Nugu killed Nami too. They made it back to the base. They got Baron. One inhibitor is still alive, but both of their Nexus turrets were sacrificed for this play. Oh, these choices for MBE, they're exciting, but always you have to wonder, was it the correct one? I like their proactive call here. It was super dangerous, but they can't give up the top inhibitor too. They might have overpushed the welcome. They do have Baron recall, of course, and Slows really wants this tower because they haven't gotten any towers apart from top tier 1 so far. That's 2 towers for MB finally. And the dragon, the big dragon that could decide the game, 2.5 minutes away. That's Baron off the table, and now SPTC doesn't really have anything to do on the map.
Yeah, they don't really, right? They just need to recall and go for like another push. I mean, at least luckily for them, they got both Nexus turrets, and actually, when I said they got both recalls cancelled, I was actually wrong. Slows managed to recall, and that was the important part, because him at the late game AD carry being there for the defense in the base meant that they can't really go for the end right there, and actually got 3 kills right now, also 2 turrets in the push, and you just addressed it, right? I mean, they basically have been not taking any turrets in this game whatsoever so far. Gold now being almost dead even, right? I mean, at this point, what do you really make of a 4,000 gold difference? It's basically nothing.
Yeah,
Gotta say though, I refuse to give SPTC Esports any credit to just get the Nexus turrets right there. And I really want to just credit Box, because they are definitely fighting back against a team that's such a huge favorite against them, also in such a great lead against them, and they still get the Baron, still get a winning fight for themselves. It's definitely something that can be commendable.
Yeah, and think about the position they're in. Every single position on the map and every single decision they make is a losing play. Like, none of these things is really in their favor, and they still have to make them over and over again. They have to go for 20%, 30% plays and just execute better than SPTC, because SPTC's overwhelming map positioning just gives them such a huge boon when it comes to just going for plays over and over again. Tom Rio on the flank, he gets on Slater. Slater knocked up, Slater flashes away. He does have the GA, but he's out of the fight now. Sanma wants to chase him down. Not sure if that's the correct play, but he gets the GA. Look at the bot lane though. That's DR1 on the end. Oh, he has the teleport for Jax. That's 2 people on the Nexus. Jax flashes away. That's game. I don't think they can defend this. Oh, can they? Emperor? No, they have the damage. You can't. You have to be kidding me. It ends like this.
It's just that, but also kind of cool that SPTC managed to do like this kind of end. It's kind of sad that they need to resort to those tactics, but I think they actually have to, because it was both DNK and Slater getting called out. They were about to fall down. It would have been a 5-3 for the side of Box Esport, and it's just a dirty tactic, right? The Nexus is open, the inhibitor is still down, so DR1 and Emperor could go for this play. He actually sold his Hullbreaker for the Frozen Nut to be more tanky in these screwed up situations, and I mean, just show this goal. It's just looking like it's U-shaped, right? Or V-shaped, basically. Like such a steep roller coaster, just going all the way up, insane lead for the favorite, and then just kind of not so much, right? And it's sad for Box Esports, I gotta say. I mean, this game looked very comebackable at one point. I was almost saying like, nah, it's actually not a comeback. It's not a comeback. No, and it kind of was towards the end, but the SPTC Esports was like, okay, enough fun, we win right now. They definitely looked out of control of the game at some point.
Ah, so close, and what a game to start the day. MBE, you can't ignore them right now. They are not the bad team they were for such a long time, where they were just pushovers, and people played their substitute players because, honestly, I mean, MBE can't ever win a game, right? No, that's not the reality. They have won 3 games, and they came very dangerously close to getting this one away from SPTC. That was a 20-20 kill game, and honestly, I'm most impressed with their team fighting. Yes, I do like their macro decisions too, where they are playing without any pressure, so maybe it gives them an extra power because they can't make players at this point, but they just disregarded all their safety and went for the Baron in the late game, and that's exactly what I want to see from a team that isn't playing for positioning in the league and is only playing for improvement and pride. So these very aggressive decisions are going to hurt people, especially when they want the kill or want the 2-0 into MBE for their own playoff race.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we are done for this first game. It was kind of a banger in the later on. I mean, we expected like a quick one, especially after seeing this early game from the side of SBTC Esports. But I mean, just gotta say, credits to Box for fighting back like this. You addressed it, right? They don't really have anything to lose and are kind of playing for pride and improvement. And I gotta say, the improvement is definitely there. We are very happy to not have a pushover team as the last place team right now.
And we are. And with that, we're going to go into a quick little break. We're going to be back. We need to catch some breath after the 44-minute game or whatever it was here for game number 2. And another shot for MBE to cause some worries for SPTC as they try to secure their playoff positioning. Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 of our first series of day 3, week 6, day 3, SBTC against MBE, and well, the first game was not what we expected, especially after that early game currency. SBTC kind of lost a little bit of their coordination. We praised them a lot for their early game. They were 6k gold ahead, I believe, at 15 minutes or something, maybe 20 minutes. So what happened?
They were a little bit of finding the issue of having too much fun, I guess. I mean, you have seen it especially with Empire in the top lane, right? Going for the Hullbreaker Jacks. I mean, it's something that you can, of course, go for, but beforehand, going for this cheeky all to the Victor, just getting solo killed while half taking a turret shot, and then wondering why I even died to the situation. And yeah, the whole team also kind of went along with that one and was having way too much fun. The Lucian army lane also later on kind of not really finding the groove against Zayava Khan, and the Victor definitely on the side of Nugu popping off and getting very, very strong, especially in those base defenses, which happened quite a few of as SBTC Esports was finding like 5 siege opportunities and never really finding the final push into the nexus of Box Esports. At the end of the day, it was just a reverse wall from the 1 plus a TP backdoor, and that's really what it needed because Box Esports fought back very relatively well. I mean, they were down 11,000 gold and a soul against SBC Esports, and considering all that, they definitely did not look like the last place team.
Especially after looking at the highlights again, I saw one highlight featuring the base, and I looked at the timer, and it was 32 minutes in the game. And you know when this game ended? After 10 minutes later. So at 32 minutes, they had pushed down all 3 inhibitors, and it took them more than 10 minutes to end afterwards, because MBE just found engages, found pigs, even stole the Baron under their noses after killing 2 members, I think, on rotation. So a really impressive comeback plays from MBE. Now we need to see them actually improve their early game, especially as we head into draft number 2 right now. And just thinking about the draft, do you think there's anything they could change to make it easier for them to maybe get out of the early game on even footing?
I wonder. I think the NAR pick in general was not horrible, but the execution definitely was. So maybe someone should actually try something else. Maybe actually go for the Jace that you suggested early on, because the Jace is even more of an output win in the laning phase. It's very hard to lose lane with this champion. Either way, Tristana now after the draft phase, or after the first ban phase, something that we don't often see, but now it kind of happened again. Ban percent 49% definitely speaks one direction here, as they just now lock in the Sejuani for themselves. I think the Zayava Khan lane, we also praised the draft quite a bit, right? Zayava Khan and Wukong was the first rotation, and that was more than fine for them in my opinion. Maybe don't pick the Victor for considering the early game, but I actually really like the Victor, especially later on, so can't really fault them for that one.
Yeah, when it theorized before this team won a single game about how they could manage to win a game, it was all about team fighting, and I think they just proved this right there again, with their really good teamfight coordination, the ability to strike back and fight. So Aphelios, Sejuani screams team fighting already. I am a bit worried about Sejuani 2v2 into the likes of Tristana mid lane, which is likely to happen. Could also be bot lane, but I don't think you really want to play Tristana into Aphelios. It's not a super bad matchup, but it's not the one where Tristana can really dominate and go for the plays all the time. Stop teasing us with the dragon. I want to cast it so badly. No one in the VCS has played it. Please, just play the dragon.
Just pick it, man. Or actually just log in Jinx Fresh or something for the bot lane, so you deny Fresh from our failures, but they apparently don't want to do that one. I would have loved to see something like this. Either way, they... Look at Zeri, what support is dangerous actually. I mean, the Lulu would get banned away, Renata maybe even as well, and they would have to pair it with an engage support, something that's far from ideal.
Right, it's Aphelios support now. Jinx Aphelios bot lane, let's go. Next evolution of the support meta.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen Carrier trying the wildest stuff in the Korean League so far, and ADCs in support wouldn't surprise me too much anymore. I mean, at this point, what can really surprise us anymore? Probably we're getting closer to AP support Lee Sin or something. Either way, it is a fresh lock in, not really a big surprise. You could see something like Aphelios Lulu still, but Aphelios Fresh is definitely the staple bot lane of those lanes. And now, I mean, I expect support bans. I mean, that's one role to really target here.
Yeah, Lulu
is Zeri without enchanters is not as good, but still very much playable.
Yeah, I fully expect... Oh, interesting. The Blitzcrank, so more of the Thresh counter. Yeah, I still think you should probably ban away the Lulu, but they might actually go Blitzcrank Nautilus, the 2 other hook champions. so Zodiac can have complete
Shouldn't.
priority in the hook game, I guess. But yeah, I
Don't
think
ban
the
Nautilus when
Lulu.
you are fresh.
Yeah, I think
Fresh
the
beats
Lulu. Is
Nautilus is a fresh plays well. So ban the Lulu. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
agreed.
Don't ban Nautilus. That would just mean that they are scared, and I don't want to see that. Box doesn't have to be scared. We just now saw a beautiful mid to late game from them. Wasn't enough to get the win, but at least it looked decent on their side. What I really am looking for is what they really pick for Sunma, because I mean the Na'N didn't really work out, but I just gotta say, maybe Sunma, especially in lane, is just not as good as Empa, and you can't really do much. Maybe just picking him a tank or something, anything that works for Sejuani, any middle champion of course, because you have Sejuani already. Malphite could work, Cyan could work. Considering that SBC is on blue side, maybe they pick Jace and then you just pick Cyan into it. That's something that I could see. When either Cyan or Malphite will be left open. They are definitely decent pickups against the Jace. So that could work out on their favor. And Cassandra is also something that could work in general, right? Just a very stable tank that doesn't really lose lane.
Yeah, you could see SPDC actually completely switching their top lane mindset here after the many ints of Empa in the last game. Just say, hey, you are back to on duty. You're going to suffer in lane and just play the on later. Because Empa is actually, surprisingly, if you think about him, one of the more frequent on players in our league. Talia picked away from DR1 this time around. Talia, of course, pretty good into Tristana, especially later on in the game. Can also make Zeri's life a little bit more difficult. I do think there's plenty of opportunity to early gank Talia here with the Twisted Advance not being countered by her E. So a Flash Twisted Advance followed up by Tristana. E and W especially might be an opportunity to shut down Nugu in the early game.
And you could also, to some extent, just face tank that level of damage, right? Especially in the early game, it's not really that much anymore, and you can just quickly kill Talia potentially. I just gotta say that, like, her early game is not as weak as you think it is, maybe. The Riven blind pick, I don't really see it. As a counter pick, I could feel Empa is a Riven player,
He is the big Riven player.
And he knows he's a better top laner, so he might actually just blind Riven and is like, I mean, what are you really going to do against me? You can't really do anything against me. Malphite would definitely surprise me. We earlier saw today, if we watched LCK, that you can play Silas top lane against Malphite, and that's not fun for the Malphite, especially later on.
Yeah, any AP champs are usually quite good into Malphite. Yep, this one was the one I was thinking about. Back into the meta, especially on the fringes of the meta. Yep, those are the two counters. Oh, this one would be spicy. I'm feeling the Rumble here. More team fighting power. Rumble into Braum is always a bit cringe, though. The Braum can block the whole ultimate if he plays correctly. So, Cassanti, a little bit of the boring option, not the carry option, but probably safe in lane. Do you like the Cassandra here?
I first said please no, but actually I had it wrong in mind. I was thinking like maybe Malphite into Cassandra from Empa would be suicide for Sunma, but Cassandra actually beats Malphite. The Malphite doesn't really have kill pressure against Cassandra, but in the other direction he definitely does with the all-out coming through, and then Malphite just getting bonked on and can't really return the damage that Cassandra dishes out to him. I think that Cassandra is a fine pickup. I think the overall the composition might just lack damage, right? Talia is not really a high damage mid lane until very much later on into the game. They have Cassandra in the top lane now. It's okay, especially if they get something done in the early game, but overall, Aphelios has to do a lot of work though. I gotta say, though, Sunma in this first game on the Xayah definitely did especially that. He did a lot of work. Definitely was able to deal damage here.
Yeah, I'm most interested to see if SPTC is able to change their game plan completely, because I really don't expect them to play through top lane, right? With Malphite into Cassanti, it's probably just a little bit of suffering for Empa in the top lane, and then team fights for him. Really strong engage champ, of course. But they can't really play as aggressively towards top side as they did in the last game, where they set up everything for the Jax to, and he of course also contributed with a really good laning phase. So they kind of have to change or do a full 180 in this game as we head onto the Rift for game number 2. This time should be around mid jungle and especially the bot lane for SPDC to lock in the 2-0 victory against MBE.
Absolutely. And yeah, now we see nice camera work from the VCS observers. All pre-recorded segment. It's actually not pre-recorded. It's also Sejuani with the power skin. So if they happen to have pre-recorded every potential skin and champion choice, then it would be even more impressive, gotta say. But either way, we load into the Rift. Level 1 action, not really something that you really do anymore. Even if you have like something like Fresh and Bomb, you could definitely fight something in the level 1, but it's just some line in the sand basically being drawn. Nobody wants to really flip anything. MBE, however, could afford it, right? I mean, they don't really have anything to lose anymore, and could go for some fancy plays, but they
We have
don't
double
really see
Gathering
themselves going for
Storm
so.
on our ADCs here. Nimbus Cloak for slows against Absolute Focus on Slader, so a little bit of extra damage for Slader, a little bit of extra mobility for slows, both with late game summoners too, Ghost against Cleanse, so we are looking at a long game, especially from the ADC perspective. Wouldn't be surprised to see double Cull here coming into this game, as they are firmly looking at late game scaling. I want to ask you about the top lane though, because both of these top laners went for Grasp, which usually on the Malphite especially, you have some options in terms of rune choices. You can go very safe and just go Comet, Q-Poke Comet, and try to last it from afar.
Oh, that would not be safe actually, because then you're very, very squishy and can actually die to the Cassandra pretty quickly. Especially in those matchups where you happen to like fight melee versus melee and really just have fist fight with each other, you definitely want to have Grasp. And the Comet is something that you can take if you have like Malphite against Jace, Malphite against Minina, for example, where you can actually use a Comet to have like additional kill pressure, additional poke pressure. If you would use Comet against Cassandra, you would just deal 20 or 30 damage more and he would just laugh at you because it doesn't really make a difference. And Comet is better like to have like this high mana sustain because you can combine it with mana flow band. That's like the usual thing that Malphites like to have. Otherwise, they can also just like sit on a tier and never really complete it, as Fimbulwinter is not a good item right now, and just go for other tank options, right? The Sunfire Cape, the Frozen Heart. Usually like a mythic. Currently, Iceborne Gauntlet should be good, as he's still very much like the Sheen, and also the overall stats the items really give. That's why I think Grasp is anything but a surprise. It's actually quite common here. And yeah, it will probably be a very late game, considering also SBTC has 2 AD carries in the lineup.
Oh, come on. You sat right on top of that cannon minion. That was disappointing. But yeah, bot lane did actually go for double Cull, which does signal a farm fest, but honestly, Cull actually makes this lane a little bit more interesting because no additional stats mean, and not the same amount of sustain as Longsword and 3 potions would give you, means both of these ADCs can be vulnerable, especially to engages from the jungle, maybe. They don't have heal either, so no added HP from any source in this bot lane. 2 very squishy marksmen fighting it off against each other in the bot lane, so I want to keep one eye at least on the bot lane, especially in this early laning phase, as there could be an explosive engage coming.
There could be, and I really want to see the scoreboard. We might just see triple Cull, and we actually do!
Yeah!
It's triple Cull. Yeah, both ADCs on the one side and also the enemy ADC on the side of SPTC going for the Cull. So yeah, you're
the top lane
Cull not giving the base HP. I actually know a Cull enjoyer in the Prime League scene that I cast frequently. He actually plays like something like Seraphine bot lane and also goes Cull on that one,
God,
and then the tier. You don't like it, right? But I mean, if he has a free farming lane, why not? I mean, might as well go for it. You just get the 100 stacks anyway. Either way. Back to the game itself, we see DNK. Why is he there? Why did he go for enemy chickens? In the way
that's a risky jump from DR1. Nugu and DR1 both in trouble. DR1 super low. Who gets the first kill? Double flash at the same time. Everyone flashing away, but Tom Rio is still on the chase. Tom Rio will have the execution. MBE walks away with the first blood. What an explosive start to this 2v2 skirmishing.
And DNK just guessed wrong. He thought that Nugo was flashing into the chicken pit, so he flashed the chicken pit. And if he actually guessed correctly, he get the kill, then it would be a reset for the rocket jump for DR1. He actually gets out, and maybe they both
I didn't consider that. Holy, we need to see that in slow motion again.
That's so unlucky actually. Like this 2v2 is actually playable in that sense, but DR1 actually gets stopped mid-air, so it's definitely a risky call to go for that one. And now we see. Yeah, I mean, DNK doesn't really see this. It's nice planning from the observers, by the way. We see DNK's vision over there. He doesn't know where Nugo is really flashing towards, and yeah, he guessed wrong, so no kill for them. DR1 doesn't get a rocket jump reset, and he just falls prey to the bowler from Sejuani, or the Winter's Wrath, rather, I should say. And that's first blood for Box Esports, and a nice start for them in this game.
Absolutely. And honestly, though it did end up going in the favor of MBE, there was a little bit of a mistake made at the start of the fight for Nugu, because the Sejuani cancelled the jump of Tristana, but honestly, it should be possible for Nugu to just E the jump, and then she gets stunned instantly, and you can actually chain the CC with another Winter's Approach, I think it's called, the Q of Sejuani. So you have double CC. Instead, Sejuani had to use Q, but no time to talk about that, as the bot lane is in trouble. Very good Lantern out. We might, the Thresh is in trouble now. He gets on the tower. He's pretty low, but they can't executed him, and now Slows on the chase. Slows with purple gun, quite strong, but doesn't have the damage with only a Cull to chase for a kill. So they walk away with just one flash invested from Zodiac. Honestly, not worth it. They traded flash from Pellet for this engage in the bot lane, and MBE's bot lane is sitting pretty.
That's way too nice of you to say that, because SBTC had a very horrible gank right there. They used 3 Summoner spell for that one. It's also Ghosts of Slayer and Ignite of Blade to just get absolutely nothing at the end of the day. It was just all that just for basically a lantern, basically. And yeah, Box Esports with a much better early game right now. Much better than their opposition right now. And I mean, it doesn't really let that much of a gold lead, but the Summoner spell disadvantage should definitely mean something. Considering something like a Drake early on for Box Esports might just be a possibility right now, as you can definitely punish that lack of ability. And yeah, Emperor going for a walk here.
A really good positioning for Nugu. Nugu knows exactly what's up. I mean, he was probably spotted on the ward there. As we can see, there's a ward in the river in top side for MBE, but Nugu just hugging the wall on the bottom side, so it's really easy for him to get out of range of Enper. Enper would have to flash ultimate on top of him. Catch him there, so really nice awareness from Nugu. Good communication. These are the little improvements MBE has really worked on the whole season. They have gotten so much better. At the end of February, this would have never happened. Nugu would probably have just died and positioned wrongly in the lane, but now he's a much better player. This team is much better coordinated. Their communication is crisper. Their vision setup looks much better. If you give them another round robin, I think they could actually challenge some of the teams.
Absolutely. I mean, they already did to Cerberus, right? They also took a game from Secret, and they were very close to taking one to Second Buffalo as well. And also, like this game earlier we had today, I mean, not looking too shabby, I gotta say. And what is looking a bit more shabby is what's happening in the top lane. I think it's very hard for Cassandra to lose lane to Malphite, but apparently Sunma can do that one. We also saw Emperor going for a walk there, and he's still ahead in CS. I don't know quite what's really happening there. I mean, he just now is taking a wave, I think, and will equalize that CS number, or at least getting closer to even.
Slows dodged every single Q from Zeri. Every single one.
That's kind of disappointing, because like you have to aim your auto attacks as later, and if you just miss everything, you just don't deal damage.
It was really cool mind game there. That was something only an ADC could appreciate, the mind game between Aphelios and Zeri. They're just walking back and forth. Really cool to see.
Nice gatekeeping.
Either way. Much more interesting is the dragon take. Yeah, talk me to the dragon through the dragon here. 8 minutes. This time MBE with an early objective, and they're actually not ahead in gold, but ahead in map positioning.
They absolutely are. I mean, what can we just not do? That Slater is already having slows in his head, right? Or the other way around. And this hook just barely gets missed on. It's a little spark surge even used to dodge the hook. It can't quite extend that far. And the early cloud work definitely nice to have on sort of MBE. The first like countable thing that they really win as summoner spells. If you don't punish them, it's just for nothing that they really got all the summoner spells off this one failed gank attempt by the side of SBTC Esports. And now Nugu getting donated his blue buff can definitely make use of that one. And now, I mean, it's 9th minute in. The Herald now also on the map, something that they might consider as well. Need to work on this top lane priority situation though, because Cassandra definitely needs to push out, and Malphite, even when pushed in a little bit, can usually just sacrifice some CS and just be an old bot. So Emperor, even if he would be down, would still need to be respected over there. And Tomio would definitely need to do some work to get this even rolling in the first place, as so far Emperor is winning this top lane.
Yeah, but I have to give credit to Nugu once again. Nugu is playing so respectfully so far back and still getting all the CS he needs into the Tristana matchup with one of the weakest early game champions in the game in Taliyah, who really needs some levels in a queue to be able to contest wave push. But look at him, 5 plating still on his turret, 2 ganks from Enper avoided just by really good positioning, while Enper had all the free reign to do whatever he wanted. We don't talk about that. And yeah, he's kinda helping out his top laner who's struggling immensely in this matchup.
Nature's Grass coming in.
Should be fine. Very good block.
To Tomio, but Tomio's tanky, he doesn't take damage. And I think also, to Tomio's defense, that Glacial Prism looked worse than it actually was, because it was Rocket Jeopardy one.
That's true.
It might have been an okay one, but it looked very, very clownish, and I think it wasn't even that bad. I mean, it wasn't good either, but it's okay. I mean, ult for basic spell, not a good trade either way. That can kind of just happen against some very Tristana.
So in this game, Quincy, as an ADC, you got 10 minutes in. Oh, dear, once right into that E of Nugu. But yeah, you're an ADC. You started Cull. You went into the game with Gathering Storm, so everything looks about late game scaling. Now, 10 minutes in, you already completed your Cull. Do you sell Cull for a new Cull?
No. I don't know if ADCs generally do
No,
that.
I've never seen it before, but in this game, honestly, I don't know. You could do it. It's only 10 minutes in.
I mean, I think you usually don't do it because you buy the cult to get a power spike, and actually you just sought the cult to get the immortal shield bow right away, and he would have money for another one, but you just delay the next power spike for a bit, and you actually want to be strong right now. Right?
That makes sense.
He has now Mythic against no Mythic is very, very strong for Slayer at least. I mean, assuming he hits his auto attacks, right? I mean, he has to, and so far we have seen Slows dodging quite a few of those. Either way now, in the overall
Slows should be
game
on
state,
item 2 though. And once he goes back to base, Slows should be able to complete his Gale Force as well.
Yeah, he also finished his cult, so he must have about the same amount of gold, right? I mean, it can't be any other way. Either way, in general, what worries me for Box is that they are slowly losing lanes again, and without SPTC really doing anything, actually these 1-2 skirmishes we have seen have been in the favor of Box. They are still even to slightly ahead in gold.
Yeah, and Box really missed the mark on this rotation here. SPTC just much quicker at rotating their bot lane into top, and so many platings almost for free. They got Herald and 3 platings in top lane, and now are going to lose one as well in mid lane. Maybe not quite. But yeah, this was just much better tempo read from the side of SPTC, kind of out of nowhere. Honestly, the bot lane looked better for the side of MBE, but they overstayed for a plating, very greedy. Got 1 plating in bot lane, but because their bot lane didn't reset in time, they lost so much on the top side, and suddenly it's 1.5k gold lead for SPTC.
Yeah, very, very expensive, of course, in that regard. They did deny the plating in the mid lane, as we just now saw, but it was also a TP usage by the side of Nugu, so at the end of the day, maybe not even worth. Maybe it's actually better to just don't TP and just accept that you lose another plating there. But they definitely do not want this Tristana to really get this free gold. Also interesting choice to go Demolish on Tristana, just to have this even stronger push. Tristana in general, not really a bad turret pusher either way, so that's one way for sort of SPC Esports to get this early plating money, and yeah, 1000 gold they are ahead despite not winning a single skirmish in this game, right? It's just laning and a bit better map rotation from their side. Also, maybe also something that just differentiates like the lower tier teams from the upper tier teams, as SPTC are looking to secure second place at least for now.
Yeah, and it's actually a huge improvement for SPTC, because last season, if you think back to them, they did have the players, right? They had Emperor in top lane, they had Dia in mid lane, DNK in jungle was always upper echelon junglers, but their macro and their team coordination looked really scattered. They looked like a solo queue team. So this improvement is not just their drafts that have been much better, their play has been better individually, but it's also their macro. And I think overall the VCS has really shot up in their macro understanding this year, with Team Secret and GAM, of course, pushing everyone super far, because they win almost every game just by having better map reads. As SPTC
that flashed.
He
had to flash the hook.
Yeah, he had, but they still have good positioning on this dragon, and I don't think... it looks like MBE does not want to give up the dragon easily. Lad needs to be careful not to overstep. He already used his flash. But yeah, look at this. Tom Rio just coming in to push the wave.
He will. And there's a 3v3 Sterling in the bot lane right now. It looked really good for the Drake positioning, as you said, for the sort of SPC Esports. But I mean, now Summoner Spell being down yet again. And Box looks very ready for this Drake. If they take this, it's actually looking quite okay for them overall in the game. Both teams having very much scaling composition. And if they had secured another Drake, we would see that which soul will be, but I mean, regardless of which soul will be, every soul is win condition in my opinion. Can't really have too much wrong on this one. Here's the next Scarlet coming in. Nice flash on the soul. It was actually a good shove as well, and he might survive due to the stasis.
Nugu is playing this game out of his mind, maybe the best game he has played, and now the counter engage. They spent every single thing they had in their arsenal on Nugu. Nugu now on the aggress. Oh, he hit the Zeri! That's another kill. Slater completely out of position there into Nugu, and what a game so far from the mid laner from MBE. They will be able to fight off the mid lane push and get the dragon number 2. So MBE equalizes the gold lead, 3-0 in kills. They must feel so super well in this game, because, well, I mean, they are just winning all the skirmishes. And now my question is for the rest of the game, does SPTC actually want to teamfight? Because I'm looking at their composition, and yeah, Malphite wants to teamfight, Maokai can, but DR1 and this comp into the likes of Nugu, not sure if he really wants to fight.
It's kind of an awkward situation, right? On the one hand, you really want to fight because of Malphite, as you said, and DR1 is kind of in a weird position. As he's on an AD carry, you would usually assume that the late game scaling is definitely really great, as you will see the replay again with DNK getting caught out, and They actually hit the seismic shower to Slater, so it's basically dead
Slater
as soon as this
flash.
happens. Shouldn't really flash. I accept your death. It's just fate at this point, and yeah, this just means MBE Sports winning these skirmishes, being 2 Drakes ahead of them. They are scaling kind of iffy because it's actually like Aphelios doing a lot of work, as we addressed earlier, but also Tustada usually wants to play this mid game with a lead, otherwise he kind of becomes a champion that doesn't really do much and just shoves waves and then is kind of useless as her damage is not really that impressive without the Kraken Slayer at this point of the game. It will be an Ocean Soul this game, not the best soul we usually say, but I mean, every soul is a win condition, addressed it earlier. As long as you can't one-shot everyone, even the Ocean Soul has great value in those team fights.
Ocean Soul on double tank frontline is quite strong. I'm a certified hater of Ocean Soul, but Sejuani Casanti, yeah, that's one of the better comps for this soul. That's for sure.
Looking at Aphelios as well. I mean, Aphelios with Fresh won't just get one shot easily as long as they aren't inting, and he can just heal back up and everything.
Hate on Nugu. That's very good tanking from Palat. It's a bit scary for DNK, but Slater completely out of position. He does have his... No, he used his flash, and that's a 1-for-1. Man, MBE's defensive place in this game... No, never mind 1-for-1. They actually got a kill in bot lane too. What was going on over there? But that's a 2-for-1 on the map. Emperor doesn't have ultimate, so he can't get on top of him. And DNK... What?
Why are you there?
Huh?
How?
Everything about that interaction was weird. We don't talk about the hook, but why was DNK in so much trouble over there? That's 3 kills over to MBE, and they're just dominating this game.
Oh, then they die for the minion with this backfire, but Emperor's not that tanky yet.
And so clean!
4-for-1. They are 7-1 in kills up. What kind of row speed? It's just a 500 gold plus 2 Drake lead, and might just not be enough if they just keep winning small skirmishes and not really winning any bigger team fights. But Box Esports in general is so clean that they are really playing for. This hate on Tenugu is absolutely astonishing, and they are 3-1 him, just getting the kill there. I mean, they knew from earlier his stasis, his stopwatch was down, also his flash was down as well, and it's the first kill of the game for them actually. As Pilot, we just not see him. He was part of this play, was getting chased down by Tomio, also Slater falling to the Cassandra in the mid lane. And then the play continues. DNK,
good collapse,
I mean, he didn't really... Actually, it wasn't that stupid. He was dead anyway.
No, it was just a really good collapse in Zodiac, because he cut off his way off into his own jungle, because Tomrio was chasing Rom off. He was quite far away, so if Zodiac doesn't come, I think DNK can probably just scuttle back into his own jungle, but very good coordination. They go bot lane instantly for another kill on the super tanky Emperor. So suddenly they're... I mean, the gold is actually still very close, confusingly, as the kill score reads 7 and 1. But of course, we talked about the laning disadvantages and the macro misplace.
If this would be like a team that plays these skirmishes and it's actually even in lanes and even in map protections, they would probably be like 4,000 or 5,000 gold ahead right now. And they kind of are, and which kind of worries me, as maybe SPC can just stabilize and just scale back into the game. But so far, Box definitely looking good. I mean, just now losing this 1-2 to Stala seems kind of inevitable, but they also get the Rift Herald as a cross-map play on the other side of the map, so they can use this one. Also, potentially use this one as a distraction while the Drake is spawning, so SPC Esports has to either defend this one or contest the Drake. They usually can't do both of those, and then potentially loot the mid lane T1 to it as a consolation prize for contesting the Dragon. Definitely a game where Box Esports can do a lot of damage, and so far, I mean, the Talia has been focused down very, very much so. And still only 1 death force is looking very, very good. The top side also performing this game, as well as the bot lane. It's also one of Aegis Talia, which definitely scales a bit better than these other Talia builds usually do, with these Everforce situations where they kind of just have another spell, but don't really have this direct damage output and not a single bit of tankiness.
Question mark on this play. I don't really understand what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Nothing comes of it, and SPDC is kind of lost on the map as MBE have White Gun and Herald to push down this tower. That's going to be a lot of gold funneled into Slows. Please, Domrio, step away. You gave the Herald over to Slows. Why are you... Huh? Huh?
It's the ADC within your mind being very, very triggered about this one. Give me solo gold, please. And
hey, he's 4-0. This Sejuani does not need the gold here.
Nah, this Sejuani absolutely needs that Frozen Heart, man. You can't convince me otherwise.
I'm a little bit disappointed. If this was Levi, I think Levi would definitely have snuck in a sneaky little Majais here. Because honestly, at this point, he's so tanky. If he deals a little bit more damage in the mid-game, that's quite scary to deal with. So
at least the Dark Seal, right?
Yeah, at least the Dark Seal, and then upgrade it sneakily. When your teammates don't press tap, just put it in there.
There was like one Sejuani in NA, but I think it was Lever who was very fed on Sejuani and wanted to 1v1 the game, and he went like Lian with Torment on Sejuani just to have like this additional bit of damage. And
Wait a
back then it was also
second,
a
wait a
penetration item.
second.
This shouldn't work. I mean, you don't really have the burn damage onto the Baron, but it maybe works. They deny the vision. Nobody really expects this one. Also, the Drake is up, so
But there
it's
was a
probably
ping
focusing
on
on that one.
Yeah, Tomrio
Tomrio is
away.
around actually, but what if they just seek it anyway?
Oh, so early!
What?
Why so
What
early?
vision?
Tom Rio!
He didn't see anything. He just went in by luck, but he might just seal it.
Yeah, no. Okay, that's a horror. And there's the engage. Oh, that might be a bridge too far because Los is in a really good position to kite. That's a 1-for-1. 1-for-1 is fine, of course. With the Baron traded for the third dragon now because better positioning for MBE, so they should just be able to walk down towards dragon and get this one for themselves. So it's gold for SPTC and a little bit of power for the next few minutes, but in the long run should still be a decent enough position for MBE. Very interesting sneak there, and unfortunately Tom Rio just a bit early. Didn't have a vision ward to give him intel on the HP, and yeah, he tried his best.
Yeah.
You can't really flame him too much because he really tried his hardest.
He also got
this
back into
engagement
the
was
flash.
really bad.
Yeah, and this is just SPTC esports. I mean, they just got the Baron. Actually, having a 1-for-1 is very, very okay for them. Dropping this Drake kind of inevitable, but they actually got a good consolation prize, getting some stability in this game. Actually, they are 2,000 gold ahead all of a sudden, and I can't really fault Tommy, right? He had no vision. He made a guess. It wasn't quite accurate, but it was actually almost good enough, right? I mean, it was very, very scary. About 3k HP gets into the pit. Actually, Arctic assaults out, so it survives for now, and then flashes in for the right amount to have the smite fight. He was very close to winning that smite fight, I just gotta say, and then donates a huge shutdown to DNK, unfortunately. Or to DR1. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but also
Missed
want to
the
praise
details, yeah.
SPTC for both the Baron call, because it's really cool, but also what they did with the Baron, because they knew the enemy team would be stronger in team fights and would be running to their third dragon. And what did they do? They put both of their ADCs into side lanes and got 3 turrets, I believe. Or at least 2 turrets, yeah, 2 inner turrets, and now they're in a really good shape for the map to just advance into the enemy territory all the time. So it's going to be harder to set up dragons for MBE because their mid tower is, like, the wave is going to push into your inhibitor tower, so if you don't prepare the wave correctly, suddenly you have to deal with that mid lane positioning. So I really like how quickly SPTC recovered from being contested on this Baron, and with the shutdown going over to DR1, look at his itemization. Suddenly, he's looking like the late game threat already at 23 minutes.
He's close to 3 items all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Baron empowered Tristana with Demolish. Yeah, lives up to the name and absolutely demolishes those towers. If they look at it funny, it just dies in 2 seconds almost a sudden. And now, I mean, it's kind of a dirty play by SPTC to really just sneak this Baron and just rush it down, assuming MBE has no vision. I mean, and they were guessing correctly, right? I mean, kind of happens sometimes. And with that, a stabilizer they kind of don't deserve, but also do deserve, because, I mean, a bottom tier team with no confidence usually wouldn't go for these kind of plays, unless it would be like a complete Hail Mary. But SPTC was like, this is also is like a such low risk play, right? Assuming like they are going for the fight on the side of Box Esports, they probably can just pull away from the Baron, it will just reset and nobody gets the Baron, and that would be like a bit time spent, but not really a big loss either way, as they are fine with the scaling of the game in general. And Box Esports, while winning all these skirmishes, is still like they are 8-2 up in kills, by the way.
Yeah.
Never really propelled further ahead in gold. It was
But look at their
nice
items
for them. Yeah, now that's what they are behind. I mean, Talia is definitely very, very farmed on the spot of ages, right? Level 16 also to level 15 on DR1. But DR1 we just now addressed it. He's very, very scary, but they also slayed out 3 items.
Yeah, that's the big problem. And here's the engage under tower. I think SPTC is just looking for even more gold and map control with the tower. Yep, like to see them disengage here. No need to overchase and give the enemy team an opportunity to come back. IE should be done for slow, so he's ready and roaring to fight, ready to go for that all-important soul fight. But Crincy, do you want to see MBE fighting the soul fight immediately on this item breakpoint right now, or do you think they give up the next dragon and maybe fight the one after that?
It's a tough call, because I think they actually do scale worse here if I look at these AD carries, if they are really propelling strongly into this game. Actually, I just now get a little bit triggered as I see the BT finished for the side of the R1. I would have preferred the Infinity Edge, much rather so, for the direct damage output. But regardless of that one, I think they should just go for the Soul, because I still value this Ocean Soul very, very highly for them. They have enough failures that gets protection. They have a Talia that doesn't get one-shot with this Word of Ages item build. And also these tanks definitely cannot die whatsoever in teamfight. And here we see the unstoppable force, but good flash from Slows allows it to lead to absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's down for the dragon fight though. Now that's in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
That unstoppable force should be available again. I think so.
But his flash
Now,
also is down.
okay, MBE needs to punish now because they could potentially win the fight here and maybe get into a better position for the dragon. Slow stacked on his lethal tempo. They're quite strong here. Sunmer, don't overstep your welcome. I think they're fine. This should be the mid tower, which gives them better dragon control. Oh, the grab from Zodiac. They want to continue fighting. Here goes Sunmer. He is very deep. Oh, Sunmer too deep. DR1 gets interrupted. Can't chase into them. But now SPTC want to counter engage. Slater, very good dodge. Slater going forwards. He is stacked on his ulti. Oh, another flash. This might be too scary. No, he does have the damage. He does have the damage.
He does fight.
Yeah, and Slater, they might even be able to win the game here. They have a mid push. There's a wave. Everyone is dead on MBE side. They're coming back in 20 seconds. Quincy, have they done it? Have they just stolen the game?
It's demolished Tristana. It's 4 men, it's just 5 men actually TPing to the wave. They will just win the game right here. It's 5 for Demo basically. If they're getting the Reset City gun for the side of DR1 and Slater actually going for the ballsy play, fighting into the wet white affair and just killing him before he can really heal back up. And this after a very good showing overall by Box Esports. Unfortunately, they lose the game right here, right now at the 27-minute mark. SPTC Esports, it looked kind of dirty, but they are just the clutch team that definitely deserves to fight their way into the playoffs. Just now, mathematically guaranteeing them to have a tiebreaker, at least for playoffs, if not more. I mean, realistically, they are probably in right now. And not the best win they ever had, but definitely a welcome one, I just gotta say. SPTC looked better than, I think, ever before, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely over the course of the whole season, I agree.
Yes, not today.
Definitely today was a bit sketchy, but honestly, it's also credit to MBE for fighting back, for finding all the kills, the skirmishes. SPTC win the game with a kill score of 7-9, I believe. So they were actually still 2 kills behind, but the mid lane already being pushed, and then 2 ADCs, as you said, the demolished Tristana, but also the Zeri. Just a little too hard, a little too much pushing power, I should say. They end the game out of nowhere. It does sting for MBE because I really felt like they had everything to contest them and force the third game. As we look at the stats, 7-9 in kills, only 16 kills in a VCS game.
Not a single Drake, but a single Nexus is what they got this game, and that's enough, right? Also, just this one Baron sneak, just such a dirty play. But I mean, just one bad thing about Box, right? They don't really have the laning powers to really hold up. I mean, I said it, right? They were winning the skirmishes. A good team would have been like 3, 4, or 5,000 gold ahead at this point. That they were just currently struggling to get a 2K gold lead with that, which is kind of bad. But I mean, it's just that they show potential, right? I mean, especially in the coordination, it was looking far from bad at the side. And I mean, if they just really fix their roughness around the early laning phase, especially, they can be a stronger team come summer, or come the VCSB relegation. And I think the VCSB contending teams are definitely now a bit more scared about Box Esports than they have been before.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they look so much better. They just learned. They took the opportunity to learn from the VCS teams, and it took them a lot of time to actually get better. But if you scrim consistently and even if you can't get scrims, if you just play on stage consistently in best of threes over the course of multiple months, you are going to get better. And these players are not that bad. They are not going to be outclassed for the whole season, especially with players like Nugu looking super impressive today. I still kind of want to give him MVP for the way he played the early stages of the game and also was able to go defense into offense in that all-important skirmish around the second dragon. So yeah, I'm really impressed with their players and really kind of sad for them to not get a single game victory today, but I still think they can hold their heads high after this series against potentially the second best team in the VCS.
Absolutely, they can. I mean, just mean that they are the third best team, right? Either way, all
Yeah,
jokes
that's how it
aside,
works.
Box Esports, better showing than usual. Sadly for them, like, no reward on the scoreboard, right? It's a 2-0, but the 2-0 definitely doesn't show, like, the full picture. Could have been a 2-1, I just gotta say, but SPTC Esports, also in their regard, I think these dirty games you kind of have to win if you are a top team. That is kind of what really makes them top teams, right? I mean, Gamma also sometimes has a happy game that they still end up winning, and SPTC Esports looking to do it a little bit in the way of Gar.
This is now SPTC most likely moving on to players, as we said, at least a tiebreaker. If you look ahead, there's still 1 week to go, of course, but SPTC played back-to-back-to-back series this week. So next week is a little bit more chill for them, especially looking at their positioning in the league already. Where do you want to see improvements for them to be able to maybe even challenge GUM later in the playoffs, currently?
That's a very interesting question. I need to be need to think about that one for a bit. But either way, what we have seen from them, I think game one kind of showed it in the early game where they are really wanting to go, and they just need to get rid of all this cockiness, right? I mean, especially like Emperor we saw in game one, where he just went very, very deeply onto this Jax pickup. In the second game, it was kind of also something that we usually don't see with them getting this double ADC composition, not really rolling, going for very greedy gank that they otherwise would have been much cleaner in the execution. So in that regard, I just think that they can definitely work a bit about the edges and just a little bit of everything, I just gotta say. I mean, the laning phase looked mostly very dominant to good, I just gotta say. There is not that much to be improved on. I think you can work a bit about your champion pool, and also the macro game, it looked good, but it didn't look great either. And I think that Garm and Cerberus are definitely even ahead of this. And I think we just saw that Box can even do like some damage to them in that regard. So there's still a lot of work to do for them, but they can actually do that work and challenge Garm for the title potentially. I definitely want to see a 3 or 14 race in the playoffs for the title. Garm now still looks far ahead of the others, but if they really are that far ahead, remains to be seen. I mean, playoffs is always a different beast.
Yeah, usually GUM gets even better in players, but you never know. You never know. Sometimes they've lost a game or two, and maybe even a series last summer, of course, losing their first series in a long, long time. So, yeah, SPTC hasn't played GUM in a while. They might be the ones to challenge them this time around. The ones that used to challenge them all the time are up to play our second series of the day, which is SGB against Flash. Both of these teams very close to being eliminated from playoffs. This victory from SPTC really does not do them any good, but they are more looking at the fourth place right now, which is a race between Wales, SGB. I guess Team Secret's technically still in there, but mostly Wales, SGB, Flash. Want to vie for that spot, and the all-important game between Flash and SGB is coming up, so stay tuned for that one. We're going to go into a 25-minute break, roundabout 25-30 minutes, and then be back here. Don't miss it for one of our biggest playoff implication series of this week.